Welcome to Garden-Wise Adventures. My name is Malie. Today is Labor Day. It's the second week in September, and we, along with a lot of the Intermountain West, have a freeze warning coming up for tomorrow. And it's only the second week in September, and it's supposed to get anywhere from 28 degrees in some areas in Utah. Here it says it's going to be 37 degrees, but wherever that is and whatever temperature that is, if it's in the mid to low 30s, that means I'm going to start losing some of my tender annual plants, most of which are in my garden. So I'm going to go through my garden and look at it and see what I need to do to prepare for that freeze, because I'm not quite prepared to lose some of my plants. Other ones I'm just going to pull and it'll be fine to lose them because they're at the end of their season anyway. So let's go look at my garden and see what I'm going to do to prepare for this freeze that's happening tomorrow night. So as you can see here, I have not quite started my cleanup yet. I might try to do a little bit as I pull out plants. But the first thing that we're going to look at is strawberries. Now, strawberries that are on the plants may suffer some damage, but my strawberries have not really fruited this year very much, and when they have it, they haven't fruited really well. This entire patch is going to be torn out in the next couple of weeks and the soil redone so it's better. Another plant that I'm just going to probably let go is my ground cherry. I don't think it is going to be able to tolerate the temperatures that it's going to hit. It's a tender annual and will probably freeze, but it's given me quite a bit of fruit and it's starting to go by the wayside anyway because it's late in the year. So I think I'll probably just let that one go. Now in this bed, we have a much healthier, much more prolific ground cherry. Now this one I think I'm going to cover with a floating row cover, agribon, whatever you want to call it. It's a frost protection blanket. Now if you don't have one of those, and I'm going to show you what they look like a little bit later in the video, but if you don't have one of those, then you can use blankets or sheets or whatever. Now if you're going to have a heavy snow or sleet or anything like that that's going to freeze your covering, you're really not going to be able to do much for your plants. The snow or the rain will make it too heavy. It'll smash it, it'll freeze them to the plants, and it's just going to kind of negate any protection that it'll give. So hopefully it'll be a dry freeze and not a really wet one. My zinnias that have just started blooming that I planted by seed in July are going to go by the wayside, I'm pretty sure. They may make it depending on how cold it gets, but I'm pretty sure these are going to be goners. On the other hand, the kale, the beets, the arugula, all of these are going to be just fine, so I'm not going to have to worry about covering those. Now here are a few more plants that I am definitely going to worry about and we're going to cover. Luckily I have this pole. We're just going to drape some of the floating row cover all the way around. I might even bring out some of my greenhouse plastic and wrap after I do the floating row cover, because I really want my sun sugar tomatoes to last, and I want to harvest the last of my banana peppers. So this area is going to get a covering. This is another garden bed that I'm just not going to worry about. The artichoke in the center that did not flower at all this year, there's two of them in here. They're going to be removed anyway because I'm going to redo this bed. But if I was going to leave it, a little bit of an early freeze I think should be fine for that. If it starts to die back, it will come back next year. It might be have a little bit less vigor, but it'll be okay. Now a lot of people would be worrying about the rosemary. And I do worry about my rosemary a little bit, but it is hardy enough that it has lasted here uncovered when it's hit near 0 degrees. Now the way to make sure that your rosemary can handle the cold temperatures is to give it a good deep watering just before it freezes. Let it go into that freeze with moisture around its roots and hope for snow cover in the winter. Now I don't ever come out here and cover this, but the years where there is snow cover over the top of it, those years I don't ever have any dieback on them. So I'm not going to do anything with my rosemary right now other than giving it a good soaking tonight. Oh, and it smells so good. Now this bed right here, I think I'm going to prepare this bed for my garlic. The cucumbers will definitely not tolerate the frost that's coming. They've given me a good harvest. You know, I also planted these in July. I'm going to just harvest whatever is left on here and pull them out. These, you know, I'm just not going to worry about them because I'm going to use this bed for garlic. We also have the leftover paprika, and they're just so gorgeous. I have dried enough paprika for my family for the year, and so I'm going to harvest what's left, see if I can get some of the green ones to ripen. I don't know if they ripen off the vine. I don't think they do, but we can try. And so I'm going to pull these out also. Grapes are another one that will tolerate the frost. It may kill the leaves back depending on how deep the frost is, but the grapes that are on the vine are protected by the leaves right now, so I'm not worried about them at all. This bed right here has squash in it. It has the I'm going to harvest the leftover squash. It's not doing too hot. I think it got hit by squash bugs again. I was diligent in spraying it the early part. You know, I planted this one in July and I was diligent in spraying for squash bugs early on, but then I quit spraying for it and they're just not doing as well. So they're going to come out. I have new kale starts in my house right now. So the kale is going to come out and so is the chard. But these would not only last through the freeze, they are going to actually have a better flavor because of the freeze. So, you know, I could leave these for a little bit longer, but they may just come out. Now this is the last bed where I am going to wrap it in the frost blankets and plastic. We've got a lot of tomatoes still coming on, and they're so good. And I want to do some more sauce and, you know, just all sorts of things with these tomatoes. I don't want to lose them, so they will definitely be harvested. The red ones will be harvested. Anything that are getting close to red, and then the rest of it will be wrapped in the greenhouse plastic and floating row cover. Now for my peaches, there is really nothing we can do. I've been harvesting them. The rest of them are just on the cusp of being ripe. I've already made fruit leather and dried peaches and eaten some whole and frozen them. They're so good. I'm just going to come out after the windstorm that's going to be coming with the cold. You know, on Wednesday, you know, we'll just look for anything that's fallen on the ground and just take those inside and use them as we can. There's really nothing I can do to protect these trees. So now I'm going to go get my greenhouse plastic and my floating row covers, or the frost protection blankets, and show you what they look like. Now this is the greenhouse plastic that I'm going to cover my tomatoes with. I'm going to kind of wrap string around it to hold it down. But I bought this on Amazon, and I don't remember what ml it is. It's just, you know, your basic greenhouse plastic. I like this because it will last even in the UV light for more than 2 seasons. I'm hoping to get it to last at least 3, but we'll see how it goes. Now I did also buy my floating row cover, is what I've always called it, or a frost blanket. I bought that on Amazon, and there's many different varieties. Just look at the different widths that you would like. I think they're all pretty much the similar. So here I have my floating row cover. And if you don't have this, like I said before, you can definitely use blankets or sheets. But one thing you need to make sure to do is tuck your plants to the best of your ability under the cover. You don't want any of your plants showing, because that will, you know, anything that is showing will freeze. So then I'm going to take this edge and I'm going to put a brick down to weigh this edge down so it doesn't blow away in the wind. Now I did not have enough in that piece to cover my entire ground cherry, so I actually pulled out one of my sheets just to show you what it would look like with a sheet. All the edges of the ground cherry are tucked under, except for some on this side over here. If that area gets frostbitten over there, it's not going to affect the rest of it. Now, the freeze advisory is for tomorrow, so I will go ahead and uncover these again tonight and for tomorrow during the day, and then just recover them only when the frost is going to happen. So if you're in an area that has a freeze advisory, I challenge you to go look at your garden, pull out any blankets, any frost covering that you have, sheets, whatever it takes. Go out and cover your important plants because it is a little early in the season to be losing them. So I hope this video has been helpful, and I hope you go have a wonderful garden adventure.